Once again, the purpose of this video is to provide you with an overview of how to complete this chart. I will not be going over the purpose and description because I have already done that in a previous video. So the topic for this week is the classical school perspective, and a theory that is discussed is the Star-Vicarius deterrence theory. So let's go over the instructions. For this week, you will need to review the assumption of human nature, and in doing so, identify which assumption is being made by this theory. You're going to also need to identify the central theorist, briefly summarize when or why the deterrence theory was developed, and then based on the arguments made by deterrence theory, explain how we can address crime. And finally, provide an example of a program or policy that is consistent with this theory. So let's go ahead and scroll down to the actual chart. So, which assumption is consistent with deterrence theory? If you said the first one, then you are correct. So deterrence theory assumes the naturally pleasure-seeking or hedonistic calculus. So right next to this assumption, you are going to write deterrence theory. Under central theorist, I have already said it is the Star-Vicarius. Origin. So this theory was developed during the Age of Enlightenment. And again, you would know that if you read your textbook, which you should have at this point. You should have read the textbook before filling out this chart. And that was during the 17th and 18th centuries. So why was this theory developed? So during this period, the dominant idea was that people are rational beings who have free will. So based on that idea, it also assumes that people are capable of kind of looking at the consequences of their behavior. And so it was that dominant idea that influenced Vicarius to develop deterrence theory. Okay, and so under criminological orientation, how do we address crime or deviance according to deterrence theory? Well, deterrence theory is focused on punishment. And your book does go over 3 elements of punishment that this theory consists of. There is the swiftness, severity, and certainty of punishment. Okay, I'm not going to go over what each element means, so make sure you do read your book. And then some examples offered by your textbook as well are fines for speeding. I believe another one would be a minimum prison sentence. Okay, so again, the idea is that we want to deter people from breaking the law, hence deterrence theory, by advertising the punishment, right, associated with the criminal act or the deviant act. And so this is how you would fill in the chart, right? So first determine which assumption that theory makes, write that theory, the author, when or why it was developed, how do we address crime or deviant behavior based on that theory, and then also offer some examples. Okay, and I do want to remind you that there are more than one theory can make the same assumption. So here are the list of theories. Okay, so for instance, under naturally pleasure-seeking, you may have another theory that falls under this assumptions as well. And then you'll just put it in that same box. Okay. All right, so make sure you type in this information, save it, and then upload it to Blackboard to receive your points for completing this assignment for the week. And if you have any questions, be sure to contact your instructor.